trust in the media has declined dramatically in recent decades. In 1976, a Gallup poll showed that 72% of Americans had a great deal or a fair amount of trust in mass media. By 2022, that number had plummeted to just 26%, one of the lowest levels ever recorded. The issue isn't confined to the United States. Globally, trust in the media is similarly low, with the 2023 Edelman Trust Barometer revealing media is the least trusted institution in countries like the UK, Australia, and Canada. This trend is troubling, particularly because a free and credible press has long been regarded as a cornerstone of democracy. So why have so many people lost faith in the media? Historically, journalism was seen as a pillar of accountability. The mid-20th century was marked by moments like the Watergate scandal, where journalists exposed corruption at the highest levels of government, and the Pentagon Papers, which revealed hidden truths about the Vietnam War. These events solidified the idea of the media as a watchdog for democracy. However, changes in the way news is produced and consumed have eroded this perception over time. The rise of partisan media played a significant role in this shift. Cable news networks such as Fox News and MSNBC have tailored their content to align with specific political ideologies. While this approach engages loyal audiences, it also polarizes them, creating echo chambers where viewers hear only what aligns with their pre-existing beliefs. This polarization fuels mistrust, as people increasingly perceive the media as biased or one-sided. In the United States, this divide is stark. 68% of Republicans report little to no trust in mainstream media, compared to just 28% of Democrats. The 24-hour news cycle has also contributed to the decline in trust. The constant demand for new content pushes outlets to prioritize speed and sensationalism over depth and accuracy. Stories are often reduced to clickbait headlines, and complex issues are oversimplified. This rush to publish has led to high-profile errors, which are then amplified across social media. Scandals involving fabricated stories, like the 2003 case of Jason Blair at the New York Times, have further damaged the reputation of established outlets. Social media platforms have revolutionized the way we consume information, but they've also amplified the problem of media distrust. Algorithms on platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok are designed to prioritize engagement, which often means showing users content that reinforces their beliefs. This creates echo chambers that deepen divisions and reduce exposure to opposing viewpoints. A 2020 Pew Research study showed that people who rely heavily on social media for news are more likely to encounter misinformation. In fact, a Massachusetts Institute of Technology study found that false news spreads 6 times faster on Twitter than factual stories. Adding to this, misinformation has become a powerful tool for discrediting credible journalism. Political figures around the world, from Donald Trump to Jair Bolsonaro, have popularized the term fake news to attack stories that challenge them. This rhetoric not only undermines individual stories, but also erodes public confidence in the media as a whole. Even respected outlets are now viewed skeptically, and the line between opinion and fact is increasingly blurred. Economic pressures have also transformed the media landscape in ways that fuel mistrust. The decline of traditional revenue streams like print advertising has forced many news organizations to downsize. Between 2008 and 2020, newsroom employment in the United States dropped by 26%, leading to reduced coverage and fewer resources for investigative journalism. To compensate, many outlets have introduced paywalls, limiting access to credible news for lower-income audiences and pushing some toward free but less reliable sources. Meanwhile, corporate consolidation has concentrated media ownership in the hands of a few powerful companies. In the United States, 6 corporations control about 90% of the media market. Critics argue that this concentration raises concerns about editorial independence and prioritizes profit over public interest. When audiences perceive news coverage as serving corporate interests, trust inevitably declines. The rise of alternative media platforms has further complicated the issue. Blogs, podcasts, YouTube channels, and independent journalists have gained significant followings, often positioning themselves as alternatives to mainstream media. While some provide valuable perspectives, others spread misinformation or push conspiracies. A Reuters Institute report found that in 2023, 40% of young people trusted influencers for news more than traditional outlets. This shift reflects both the appeal of personalized content and the growing disillusionment with established journalism. Efforts to restore trust in the media face significant challenges. Transparency is a key step. News organizations must clearly explain their sourcing and editorial processes to regain credibility. Fact-checking initiatives, like those introduced by the BBC, can help combat misinformation. Media literacy education is also essential, equipping audiences with the skills to distinguish credible journalism from unreliable sources. Tech platforms play a crucial role as well. Companies like Meta and X, formerly Twitter, have begun implementing measures to flag or contextualize misleading content. Though these efforts remain uneven, governments have also stepped in, with some introducing regulations to hold platforms accountable for spreading false information. Ultimately, the crisis of media trust is not just about journalism, it reflects a broader erosion of trust in institutions. Addressing it requires a collective effort from journalists, policymakers, tech companies, and audiences. The media must reaffirm its commitment to truth and accountability, while society must foster critical thinking and demand higher standards. Trust won't be rebuilt overnight, but acknowledging the problem and taking concrete steps toward transparency and accountability is the first step in restoring the media's role as a vital pillar of democracy.